All right, walking with the average Joe. 5, 6, something like that. Hello! You got that car, Clay, yet? uh, have a good afternoon. All right, there's some neighbors working, doing some workout stuff. Woo! All right, so let's talk about the horror stories. People like horror stories for some reason. I guess it's more interesting than me just babbling about therapy and what you can do. All right, horror story number 1. Okay, well, this happened many moons ago. Many, many moons ago. Over a decade now. Ooh, a very friendly dog, huh? Nothing like trying to get chewed up by a dog. Can run faster than you. Anyways, that'd be a horror story. That'd be a live horror story. I don't know about that. All right, so let's get back to horror story number 1. So I was doing inpatient at the time in a hospital. Obviously, confidentiality. Gotta leave out names, dates, circumstances. So obviously, most of this is true. I guess I can pivot to that point. Most of this is true. So I'm an inpatient, treating people, evaluating them. It's a who. So I'm there. Patient. Patient is just up walking around. I'm thinking to myself, okay, why do they need a therapy evaluation? Wow, this person's up walking around. They shouldn't be. They didn't know where they were, who they were, completely disorientated. Excuse me, unfortunately, I was the one in there caught them before they fell or hurt themselves, and then we'd be liable as a hospital. So, yeah, I asked the person, do they know where they're at? No, they don't have a clue where they're at. I asked them something basic. Do you know what your name is? He told me the name, but it was kind of garbled. They were close. I told him they didn't know what day of the week it was. No, he didn't even try to make that one up. And I asked him, who the president is. Oh my lord! At the time, it was Billy Bob Clinton. So this patient just starts going off on shouting, ranting, and raving. Oh, Bill Clinton's a scum. Oh, he's no good. That time it was with the Monica Lewinsky issue going on. He's like, oh, this guy's done worse stuff than that. It's almost like this guy knew something. Well, and we all know what happened now. Hindsight, right? With the Epstein Island. Billy Bob Clinton going out there multiple times, like what, 13, 15 flights or something to that freaking place. So I always wonder going back, when you ask someone, and they're completely disorientated, then you ask them something that is that they wouldn't have a clue about the current or anything like that, and then all of a sudden, stuff you think is absolutely nuts, it's not nuts at all. Of course, you don't know at the time. It's 25 years later, 30 years later, you find out. That guy wasn't, obviously he didn't know. He was just coming up with some crazy idea at the time, but he wasn't that far off base. So that's crazy horror story number 1. Crazy horror story number 2. So I'm treating someone. We're in the parallel bars. And all of a sudden they go down on the ground. Now, you hear them screaming, the whole department's freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. The guy fell. The girl fell. At the time. He, she, anyways. Intentionally falling. Absolutely insane. Intentionally falling. Ended up, you know, having to call emergency code, take him down to ED, write all this stuff up. What he could have done differently. What he should have done. Could, should have, would have, whatever. Well, this person had plenty of issues in the ED. Person had plenty of issues with physicians and stuff like that. So you just never know when you're treating someone in the parallel bars. And you would think that you're in there, you're in a safe environment. You would think they'd be trying to fall. Crazy stuff. Horror story number 3. This is an outpatient horror story. I'll never forget this one. I'm evaluating this person for hip and back pain. Run in the mill, straighten out the back, straighten out the lower leg. All right. Always check above and below the site that they're having complaints about, just from an orthopedic standpoint. Well, I start screening just the hip. So, which means I just take the patient through passive motion, which is I do all the movement through the hip just to see if there's any pain or loss of motion or illicit symptoms or something like that. This guy, I literally just barely bring his knee towards his chest. This guy's lying down on the table, solid surface with a pillow, and he makes this, oh my God, oh my God. I mean, literally, it was so over the top, ridiculous and drama. So he's like, I can't move. I'm like, what do you mean you can't move? You just barely brought your knee out. No, I can't move my back. I can't move. I think I heard a pop. So and I'm having to call a code. End up having to get everything rolled into that. Have them come and coat this person down to the emergency room. Have them get checked out. There's nothing wrong. And of course, I'm told later on after I'm debriefed, because obviously you have to, when there's an incident that happens, you gotta ask, hey, how you doing? You gotta ask, what's going on? What you been doing? What you up to? James, Gype, smash the like. Thanks, James. I haven't seen you in a long time, man. Hey, Gype. So anyways, so I get debriefed and my management saying, yeah, don't worry about it. This guy, this girl, they're pill seeking. They got them on record saying they're just trying to find a ways to get the hospital or get them to dispense medication, obviously opiates. Heck, that incident's probably 15, 20 years old. That's a long time ago. So, hello, smells good. So that's the horror story number 3. Horror story number 4. Got a lot of them. I've been doing this a long time. So horror story number 4 for therapy is this. If those weren't bad enough, you think at some point I'd forget therapy. I'm not doing this at all. This is some crazy nutsy stuff. So I'm there. I'm out there with my thing. This is when I was working in Maryland. So I only I had been out of school maybe a year at that point. Just finished my first year, right? Still real green. Think you can save everybody. Not really looking at all the facets of why someone either goes to physical therapy or quote unquote forced to go to physical therapy. So working for a company, wonderful company. Still to this day I was impressed with them. But moved back to New York State. Anyways, that's another whole story. Pennsylvania, New York. So jumped out of Maryland, working for this company. And this company really at the time, we're talking late 90s, 1990s. So this company works most of their money is coming from um, people that get hurt on the job and need to come to therapy to basically get back physically to the job that they were doing before. So yeah, these big warehouses, almost thinking like a pole barn. All types of masonry stuff, and if you're a mechanic or if you're a plumber or a carpenter, whatever it may be, you're a driver. So we had all these kind of like these stations, if you want to think of it that way. And so I had to educate people up there, you know, body mechanics, proper lifting. And you think these people would listen, right? They're there. They're there. I'm still green, right? They're there because they got hurt and they want to get back to work. Well, that's only part of the case, a real small part. The other part is for them to stay on workman's comp, because it's a workman's comp case. They need to go to these particular sessions, otherwise they get their check cut or their benefits or whatever is going on being cut. So there's a whole sidebar to someone really not wanting to get better, or if they are already better and they're just kind of playing it off like I'm still hurt, so he had to have all these different types of tests and using heart rate and blood pressure and to truly get some sort of objective measure whether these people were quote unquote full of beep beep beep, or if truly glad it's not as sunny as it was the other day. Anyways, it's like squirrel. Yeah. Anyways, back to the story. If these people are genuinely trying to get better or not, but you know, it's a high. You wouldn't think it'd be high burnout, but it is because it's not the day to day. It's the justification for the service that the insurance company or the workman's comp company or case manager is paying for. You're like, okay, you got to show. I mean, we're paying you. Oh, let's ballpark figure back then. We're probably paying $150, $200 a day. I mean, it was progressing. We'd progress them from 4, 6 to 8 hours, being able to do standing, sitting, bending, stooping, climbing, all those physical type movements you have to do throughout the day. And so now they want, and rightly so, these insurance companies want to know, hey, where's my return on my investment, my ROI? So the burnout rate got to be where it's like okay, it doesn't seem to want to get better, or I mean, pain is limiting. Pain's always limiting. He or she can't do anything. So it turned into be a real rat race when it came to that. So, excuse me, wonderful place. Friends, coworkers, they were great people there. So, and it paid well. We're talking late 90s. I was getting paid all right. I mean, physical therapy, as a salary is kind of plateaued and dipped. Let's talk about that for a second. So that's my horror stories. That's enough horror stories for the day. I got plenty more, depending on how many of the walks, right? Let's talk about salaries for a minute. Let's talk about physical therapy salaries, hourly rate, exempt versus non-exempt. Let's think here. All right. What do you think would be a decent salary for a physical therapist? Go to school for 7.5 years. They have a doctorate degree. They probably, I think the average is like probably between 80. There's a big, breadth of space here. 80 to like $150,000 to go to school to be a physical therapist. And you got to take a license like everybody else, state boards and stuff like that. I think 4 hours, I think, is the exam. It's nothing as rigorous as an MD, but it's rigorous enough. I think the average starting rate of a physical therapist probably today. I mean, if you just went to a hospital or if you went to outpatient, they are all promoting start your own practice kind of bull. You know, yeah, start your own practice, getting out. Give me a break. Oh, I did it. Yeah, okay, yeah. And I see leprechauns, and I'm going the other side of the rainbow where the gold is. Uh, that's another story. Yeah, I'm cynical a little bit when it comes to some of these people on these websites. 52 to 55,000 probably a year. Now, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it, for some people? It's not. You figure 23, 24% tax bracket. That's knocking down some money right there, especially if you have no house, no kids, so there's no deductions, right? And then you're looking at, all right, school loans. Let's say you want to pay a school loan off in 10 years, and it's $150,000. How much you think that mortgage? I wish it was the mortgage. I wish it was that cheap. And some of these interest rates on these school loans are 6, 7, 8% on that kind of money. It's almost impossible to dig yourself out of it. You can do it. It can be done, but you're gonna be poor. Or poor's a mindset. You'll be broke. Better way of phrasing it. You're gonna be broke for way over 10 years. You know, you figure 50,000. You figure taxes, healthcare benefits, right? That all has to be rolled into there. Let's take out 8 grand. Let's say they make 52 grand. They take out 8 grand. Does that leave you with 44? Okay. All right. Now that's just federal tax. That's not state tax, local tax. So let's take out another 2 grand. Okay. Let's say we're down to like, let's say all together we're all in federal tax, state tax, local tax, 10 grand. Make 52 grand. Let's say it's 10. Okay, you're down to 42 grand. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, you haven't paid your insurance yet, your health insurance. And most of these places, these health insurance places, these hospitals, if you're just by yourself, you're doing good. So let's say it's just you. Say let's say 150 a month, right? Okay, that's not bad. 150 a month just for you. That's vision, dental, major medical. Hope you don't get sick because it's gonna be a huge deductible with that. But your premiums are low. So you figure what that's like. 10 months is $1,050. You figure, okay, it's grown up, say $1,200 for insurance. All right, now we're getting down to 40,000. You gotta live somewhere, right? Then you can live at home, but really, you're out of school, you're making money. 20, you're probably 24, 23, 24 if you went in right from high school. You're 24. Yeah, let's say rent, a decent rent place, probably $900 to $1,200 a month. What's a cat? $900 to $1,200 a month. So that's your rent, right? So that's right there. You're looking at. But let's say 1,000. That's dirt cheap. Say $1,000 a month. So that's $12,000 a year right there. Boom. All right, now we're talking into. Now we're down into 30,000. Now we just paid rent, paid all your taxes, paid your health care, food cost. Okay, yeah, you can live on ramen noodles and blood pressure citizens. Don't eat out, obviously. That's silly. But I'd say one person went 300, maybe 350 a month for food. Give about that. Okay. Let's say that's $3,500. Okay, now we're down in the $20,000 range. Right? We're down like what 28, 29 grand. Okay. All right. You got electric. You got your utilities. We're gonna give that another $1,200 a year. Okay. We're skimming down now. We're down into the $26,000 we got left. Okay. Now, let's say we put something where some sort of retirement away, right? Let's do 10% of that, just 10%. Okay, so let's say what's left. I mean, technically, if you made that's 10% of let's say $50,000. Okay, 5 grand, right? Yeah. So, all right, we did some retirement. Now we're down about 20,000 for the whole year. So we got gas. Let's say 40 bucks a week. 40 times 4 is 160, right? 160 times 10 is 1,000. All right, let's give yourself another $1,200 a year just in gas. Yay! Okay. Now we're down into the $18,000 range. Now we're gonna be skimming it because we figure, all right, money goes by really quick. And I still have clothes. I'm not saying you spend a boat, but you got scrubs and some stuff like that. I mean, toiletries, all those basic necessities you're looking at. Yeah, let's give ourselves 150 bucks a month between clothes and toiletries and stuff. I mean, that's skimming it, but here's another 12, 1,300 bucks a year. I mean, you see how quick the money goes. And you got to do that. You're going to get a raise, but yeah, I mean, here you are working full time out of school, and the school debt's just killing you. I mean, that's this whole generation. School debt. Even when you get out and you got a decent career and you get started, it's like, I love my boy Dave. Hi! I love my boy Dave, but the reality is you can't come out of school and think you're going to work 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, you do a part-time side gig maybe, make an extra $500 or $600 a month, maybe 1,000, depending on how much extra work you do. But hey, hi Brown Eye. There's a trucker. So earlier I talked about horror stories, so I got like 3 or 4 good horror stories from therapy. Now I'm just talking about. Oh, she's gone. Anyways, I was talking about school debt and how bad it even in therapy. You know, and the ultimate reality is as a physical therapist, your salary only can go up to a point, and then that's it, because it's all based on insurance reimbursement. Unless you're doing cash, you have to be in a pretty good area, obviously, for that. But times are getting tough again. You know, money's getting real getting dried up. Trapping that belt, holding that belt, then suck that belly in. Gives him a tough ride the next several years. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. I'm here. I wonder why it says you're here, but I don't have any little face on there, little person. Hope you're having a fun, great walk. Yeah, I am. I was started bench pressing again and just did lightweight, you know, 140, 150, 160 pounds bench press. And boy, did the technique right, warmed up, back was still sore. Sore for 2-3 days, my back was. Like, dang. So I'm out here walking like I should always do, like I tell you guys to. Practice what I preach, right? So, but anyways, that's most of the colleges nowadays. I think if you get into the trades, I think you're gonna be, yeah, me too. I want to lose weight. Yeah, well, 80, I think it's about 75, 80% of the weight loss is nutrition. So it has nothing to do with exercise. I think I remember watching Matthew McConaughey was on some talk show, and they were asking him how when he did that one movie where I think he played like an AIDS guy who had HIV or something like that. Dallas something I think it was called. I think he was like a cowboy. I think he was gay when he got AIDS, and so that whole genre. And they all asked him, "How the heck did you lose that weight?" And he said initially, "Geez, I thought I was he was out exercising every day." And then he realized if he just cut his calories and just ate a certain type of food every day, he lost like 2 pounds every day. And so that's how he lost all his weight because that's really it. Because I mean, you start exercising like I am right now, I'm gonna go back to the house and I'm gonna be starving. I'm gonna be hungry because now my body's asking for more calories because I just burned a bunch off. And that's where you have to not do that. You can't exercise and then go back and eat. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose, at least if you're trying to lose weight. So it's all about portion control, the old thing, but it's how you cook it, what you eat, how much you eat, calories in, calories out. That's true to a point. But needless to say, I think it's 75% of weight loss is just nutrition. I gotta get Stepmaster today. Yeah, well, let me tell you I'll tell you a horror story about Stepmaster. The first time I ever had sciatica symptoms, first time I hurt my back, it was on a Stairmaster. I was in that kind of like forwards flex position, got tired, was hanging on the rails a bit, and was doing the stair stepper, and I felt my back give out because you figure you're bent forwards, which causes a little bit of traction in your spine, and then your legs are moving at the same time. Hindsight's a beautiful thing. But yeah, Stairmaster killed my spine initially. So that's not the best thing you want to do. You look great, though you don't look a pound overweight. You have been purging all the bad food in the house. Why, thank you. Well, gravity, gravity's a bitch. Doesn't matter what you do. You lose enough weight, but, oh shoot, I'm going to get run over. But, yeah, funny thing is, I get my BMI done. They say I'm 23%, but obviously it's basing it all on your height and not looking at muscle mass at all. So anyways, when you go to the doctor, tell them, hey, I want my muscle mass BMI tested. Oh, look at the screws. Oh man, look at those. We want those in your tire. Woo! I just saved someone a heartache. Anyways, oh nah. I got the receipt. Maybe I should give it back. Maybe. It's not a bad idea. We can save your money. I mean, unless you're really looking for cardio or looking for hip strengthening, Stairmasters, it's not going to make you lose weight. I mean, save your money and just go out for a walk. You'll burn the same amount of calories. Unless you crank up the resistance on a Stairmaster, and that's a whole other story. But yeah, that's my Stairmaster, the master blaster of killing your back and giving you sciatica symptoms. So hopefully you guys liked my video yesterday about sciatica symptoms. Yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday I dropped it. And I think I'm gonna make my videos more like that from now on. Whoa! Because it really does give a decent idea of what I'm discussing. So, uh, anyways, so yeah, that's my horror stories for therapy tonight, and my horror stories of my how I hurt my back the first time. Yeah, I think it's really high for physical therapists. I think it's 60, 70% at some point in their career hurt their back, you know. And you would think it's just from lifting, and that might be just the repetitive type movements that you do all the time, especially if you're in, like I was discussing before, a hospital environment where you know, it's not always, lift the bed up. Sometimes you're in an awkward position and you end up hurting yourself. Uh, you know, you were tired from the night before or the day, or you know, you're tired from working all day, and then in the afternoon you got to see a patient, and you have all the equipment, and then everything goes right except for you just move your back just the wrong way just for a second, and that's the end of that story. So I think it's pretty high. I think it's any higher than that. I have to look at it, but so yeah, most therapists know what pain is, even though you ask the patient thinks the therapist is some sort of robot, like they don't know what pain is, or their pain is always worse. Oh, my pain's the worst. Like no one's pain has been that bad, or even worse than their pain before. So it's kind of hilarious when I talk to people. So, but at this point, talked about the horror stories. Talked about my horror stories. Talked about why therapists really don't get paid what they should have gotten paid, and they won't. Just the way the insurance and the way the healthcare system is set up now. Physical therapists they're plateaued out. The schooling kept going up. Cost of it, I mean that way. It went from a bachelor's degree to a master's degree. Now it's a doctorate degree. And every test school has you there another year or so, and then the cost of that goes up. But the salaries for therapists haven't even come close to matching what their costs are to go to school. It's absurd. So, as I was saying before, talking about the trades, I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I like the degree, I like that, and it's nice. But if you're looking at, the wind's gonna kill my voice. But if you're looking at cost benefit, the cost of that versus what someone else could do, man, totally different. You could be a plumber and make what, $40 an hour, $50 an hour. I don't know, even more than that. You know, and then you're on your dime. You're not on anybody else's. So it really does depend on that piece of how much money you spend and how much money you're gonna make. You just figure maybe if let's say you're a trucker, like she is, right? You go to school, you get your CDL license, and then you know every job has its positives and negatives, but and you can if you looked at how much how much you make versus how much it costs to do that. You know, how much it costs to get your CD out. I mean, it's ridiculous because even the even the best therapists out there, I'd say the ones that are at the top of their game, making the most money, maybe knocking down 100,000, maybe 105 at the most. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money, and it is. I mean, you broke the six figure, but you know, it didn't happen in one day. Usually, either A, you're working two jobs if you're making that kind of money, or you're working a job that no one wants to work at, so wherever you're at, pay them that much more. Hey, and that's an issue because no one else wants to work there. And how long are you going to work there until you're like, screw this, this is terrible, you know? So money only goes so far before like, you know, it ain't worth the headache. So, or you've been a therapist for a long time, like myself. You know, you get into management. Even you look at what management gets paid versus how much if you just see patients. It's pretty darn close. The pay, you think you get into management stuff like that, you're gonna make a lot more money, and you don't. And it's just ass backwards. You wouldn't think it, but it's the truth. I mean, you get paid almost as much. I mean, if there's any overtime or anything like that, then you're getting paid more. So I can see why people don't go into management because it's you hear people whine back and forth between the patients whining, employees whining, you know, and you're sitting there in the middle and you're like, geez, I don't even make it what they're making. It's ridiculous. So, so I guess the word to wise, the wisdom right here says, if you want to management, that's fine, but it sure as hell ain't all it's cracked up to be, not even close. You know, especially if you try and be a good manager. You know, you're not just trying to be some putz, you know, a dictator. You know, you're trying to help people out, try to make their jobs a little bit easier. So, you know, you try and do that, but ooh, some days, you're like, yeah, this ain't worth it. I'm just gonna go back and treat people, you know, instead of having to listen to some people whine. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But needless to say, I wouldn't, you know, I like what I do. Don't get me wrong, but definitely isn't what I thought it was gonna be. So yeah, I mean, I I I think what you're gonna see in the near future is that, and you're gonna see this more and more, and you're starting to see it. Welcome everyone, like, share, and comment. Thanks, Bro and I. What you're gonna see more and more is that the the need for therapists is going to be greater for twofolds. One, because people aren't going into the field because it costs too much, and you don't get paid. You know, um, and then two, there's a lot of generation that's getting old. The baby boomers are all retired. You know, they're talking like 20-25% increase in retirement and retirees needing services in the next 10 years. So, so you're gonna see it's gonna be a supply and demand issue where these companies are gonna have to raise raise the amount of salaries or hourly rate. And of course, early on, they're gonna try and fudge it by trying to give out people, you know, uh, some sort of bonus structure initially to where, you know, it gets you one bonus, and then what's that? You know, you still have your low level shitty salary or your low level hourly rate, and then you're locked into some sort of contract because you took this bonus that was taxed at 42%. So let's say you get a $3,000 bonus for sign out bonus. Yay! Right? But your hourly rate doesn't even come close to that. Right? At $3,000 seems great until they tax it at 42%. Now you're left with like $1,800, but you're locked into a contract for probably at least a year. And then and then next year what happens? You get no bonus. And you're sure he probably ain't gonna get no raise because they're looking at the year before thinking, we just gave this person $3,000. we're sure to hell not going to do that. So that's the crazy part. So we're the wise. Therapy is plateauing out when I think there's gonna be a huge need, and they're gonna have to. A lot of these companies are gonna have to quote unquote up their game on what they pay their therapists. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. You all have a good night. And like always, look up and keep smiling. Bye, folks.